Hi, this is Nick on the 21st of August with a new theme of daily broadcast for this week. I was asking for inspiration, and I thought, this thought came to me of self-love and loveability, and part of me went, the reason being is I've never really talked about this before, so it'd be interesting to see what I have to say this week and structuring some thoughts around it. And secondly, if I'm honest, it's been one of my biggest challenges. I would say my personal life journey has been from a lot of kind of self-judgment, inner critic, pretty damn tough on myself, if I'm honest, and a little bit of self-love, to having more self-love than ever, but still having that harsh inner critic. So, I thought years ago, if by the time I pass away, whenever that might be, I could become an expert on something, what would it be? And the answer that came to me was, I'd love to become an expert on self-love. It feels like it's, in a way, it's the challenge of my personal life journey, to really love myself, and not to be as hard on myself as I have been a lot of my life. So I'm not sure what I'm going to be covering this week. I'll be kind of seeing what I'm inspired to speak about, but it will be partly about the idea of loveability and self-love, and how do we love and nurture ourselves. How do we have that kind of parent part of ourselves that is really loving and nurturing and kind to ourselves, but also how do we deal with the tougher stuff, the self-judgment that most of us have, the inner critic, the downright self-nastiness and self-hatred that some of us carry around with us. I certainly have carried some of that around with me, so I'll also be looking at those, and how do we handle those? So it's going to be an interesting week, because as I say, I've not talked about this much before. It's my growing edge still. I'm still learning how to love myself. I'm still learning how to let go of all the judgments I've had of myself. So be interested to see what I have to say, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and your journey. Certainly my experience of having worked now with thousands of people over the last 3 decades is, when we scrape beneath the surface of most of us, this is an area of a kind of challenge for many of us. It's I know one of my friends, who's a great teacher, talked a lot about the search for love, but I think what often happens is we're searching for love rather than allowing love. In a way, the search for love is a distraction to, I suppose the language I would use is the presence of love that's already here. We're searching for what's already here, and that's a distraction. Or it can be a form of resistance. And also, as a student of A Course in Miracles, right at the beginning of the course, I haven't got it to hand now, but it says something about our job is not to search for love, but to search for the barriers that we've erected that blind us to love's presence. So I think what the Course in Miracles is actually saying is we are already totally lovable, and we are totally loved, but we don't feel it. That's not most of our daily experience of ourselves. And that's the kind of spiritual journey, is that journey of self-love, which we then obviously extend to other people. The more that we kind of love ourselves, the more that we're kind and compassionate to ourselves, and understanding of all the kind of dynamics that have gone on within us, then we can look at other people and say, oh yeah, I can see what they're struggling with, because I've struggled with it. So we kind of have less judgment on other people and more compassion for other people. I think that's where this takes us. I've certainly had massive judgments on myself and very little self-compassion. I now have a lot more self-compassion and fewer judgments, but still some pretty tough judgments on myself. But that allows me to look at other people differently and go, I can see what you're struggling with too. Your drive to be so successful is because then you think you might become lovable. It's not really the success you want, it's the feeling lovable that you want. And I've seen that repeatedly, that we're trying to strive for something that we hope would then make us feel okay about ourselves and lovable. Certainly one of my kind of big drivers in my life has been feeling like I was a failure to some extent. So therefore I was driven to be successful, so then I might feel lovable if I was really successful. Whereas for me, success is much more now about, do I love myself? And then my life becomes a lot easier. I'm more on my team, if you like. I'm more championing myself. Okay, well, I hope that's kind of set the groundwork. I'll be back tomorrow with my second thought on this whole idea of self-love and loveability, and look forward to to exploring this theme this week myself. And thank you for coming along for the ride. Okay, God bless. Have a good day. Bye bye.